Hey everyone, so last year I made a really long video where I analyzed the various leitmotifs present in the musical Les Miserables. That video was nearly an hour long, but guess what? There was still some stuff that I missed. So in this video, I'd like to really quickly go over what I've discovered since then, as well as highlight some of the ideas, interpretations that some of y'all shared. I've been meaning to make this video for a really long time. I haven't gotten around to it, but here it is now. Hopefully it still has some semblance of relevance. But whatever, here we go. First of all, here's one that I'm pretty embarrassed about, and it relates to the barricade motif. This one here, in case you don't remember. In the video I said its first appearance was at the opening of Act 2, but in actuality we first hear it at the end of Do You Hear the People Sing? A pretty straightforward case of foreshadowing, I think. I don't know how I missed this one, but here it is. Here's another appearance of a melody that I missed. We have this motif here.
Dearest Cosette, you have entered my soul and soon you will be gone.
And I said that it wasn't repeated outside of its appearance here.
What can I do to turn you from this? Monsieur, you cannot leave.
But I was in fact wrong. This motif also appears at the beginning of Valjean's confession.
Monsieur, this is a day I never can forget. Is gratitude enough for giving me Cosette?
This doesn't entirely seem to mesh with the secrets theme that I applied to it, but it does still kind of lead into it, so I think it still makes sense. Here's a little one. I thought I caught all the appearances of I Dreamed a Dream, but I in fact missed one. It actually appears, albeit briefly, in Who Am I?
How can I ever face my fellow men? How can...
This one definitely perplexed me a little bit, since this is a situation which is only tangentially related to Fantine, Cosette, or dreams, and I don't think I've fully been able to figure it out, but the way I look at it is that it's a sign that Valjean is thinking of Fantine specifically when he says, "How can I face my fellow men?" I think my dad also has a lot of thoughts about what this motif means here, so keep an eye out for the Biscuits and Gravy episode where we discuss this song. Now there's an entire motif that I missed, for which I am rather disappointed in myself. This is a sort of battle/attack motif, which, as you would expect, appears around the battles at the barricade. We hear it in At the Barricade, in the first attack, the second attack, and the final battle. It kind of appears in two parts. You don't always get all of it in each song. There's this fanfare which precedes the attack and which also precedes any time the army general speaks from off stage. Then there's this music which plays when the fighting is actually happening. There's also this music specifically which precedes the general speaking in the final battle. It does not appear the first time he speaks, but we do actually hear it prior to its appearance here. The first place we hear it is in fact in the Runaway Cart. Oh, the Runaway Cart. This song confuses me on so many different levels. It has way more motifs in it than you would expect for such a short, seemingly forgettable song. I didn't talk about this song too much because most of it is cut out of the concert versions, but upon looking at the sheet music and listening to the complete symphonic recording, I felt I had to talk about it some more. It starts off with unique melodies, but as soon as Valjean speaks up, he sings the motif I was just talking about, the Army General's motif with that specific music coming before it.
Is there anyone here who will rescue the man?
You at the barricade, listen to this!
So that's interesting, but to make things even more weird, when one of the townspeople answers him, they're using a melody from At the End of the Day.
Don't go near him, Mr. Mayor! The load is as heavy as hell!
It's a struggle, it's a war, and there's nothing that anyone's leaving.
Why? I'm not sure. I assume the reason Valjean uses the army motif is because he's someone in a position of authority, similar to the general, calling upon people to take a certain action. And maybe the townsperson responds with At the End of the Day because they're reluctant and they think the situation is hopeless, similar to the people singing in that song. Maybe it's a stretch, but it makes as much sense as anything else. So finally, Valjean lifts the cart, and while Fauchelevent is being pulled free, we hear this music. If you watched my last video, this should sound familiar to you because I went on about it quite a lot. It's this motif here.
Come here, my dear, let's see this trinket you wear.
I talked at length about how much this motif confuses me because I find its uses to be rather inconsistent. However, a commenter on that video actually made a really good point. He characterized it as signifying imminent or immediate death, and I think we can sort of simplify that into it being a sort of danger motif. Let's look again at all of its appearances. First, in Lovely Ladies, we have the women who buy Fantine's locket and hair. Ostensibly, they're being helpful to her since they're getting her the money that she desperately needs, but it's coming at the cost of her dignity, and they very much have a threatening presence. Then Pomadabois sings it, and he is obviously a dangerous threat, and then we hear it instrumentally in the Runaway Cart. Presumably because they are still in the process of pulling Fauchelevent out, so he is still in danger. Then Javert sings it, and there is a danger here because he is now suspicious of Valjean and coming close to figuring out his identity. At last we have its final appearance when Valjean lets Javert go, and here it's a little bit of a red herring, I think, because even though Valjean starts singing the melody and he is seemingly a threat to Javert, he of course spares his life. So there we go, we have finally cracked this seemingly impossible motif. A huge thank you to Simon Gaspar for helping me figure it out. So yeah, at long last, I think that is everything. If there are any motifs or appearance of motifs that I still missed, please share that with me in the comments. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.